Hello everyone. So today we will discuss about test for station tube function. Before going on to them, let's briefly discuss about the station tube functions. So the first function is that this station tube, that is an osteocartilaginous tube connecting our middle ear to our nasopharynx. This is a schematic diagram. Okay. So just for explanation purpose, I have drawn nasopharynx like this, and the first function is it ventilates our middle air. Our middle air pressure is maintained between -2 to +50 millimeter of water, and this pressure has to be maintained for normal sound wave transmission. So not most of times our station tube is closed. Okay, and by processes like swallowing, yawing, this station tube opens actively. These processes open our station tube, and in cases where middle air pressure is varying from the normal range, station tube has to open to maintain our middle air pressure within the normal range. The second function is it helps in drainage of middle air secretions to the nasopharynx. And the third and important function is this station tube protects our middle air from nasopharyngeal secretions. uh, it is more important when the patient is having some infection of nasopharynx or oropharynx, and if and a closed station tube will prevent the ascent of the infection to the middle ear. But in cases where patient is forcefully blowing his nose, the infection may ascend up causing an otitis media. So these are the main functions. One more clinical feature is that uh, near the station tube opening in the nasopharynx is a pad of fat known as Ostman pad of fat. Now when the people undergo weight loss, uh, and that weight loss is very rapid, this rapid weight loss will cause a patellus, a patent station tube or patellus station tube, means it will remain open, and this open station tube will transmit the sound waves of the person who is speaking to himself, means there will be autophony, and the station tube was preventing this by maintaining the sound pressure. Okay, so these are the basic three functions. Now we will move on to the tests of station tube. So we have total 8 tests. There are more, but these are the important one we need to learn. So out of these 8 tests, we will start with tympanometry. Now in detail we have explained what is tympanometry and how it functions. Here we need to understand that how tympanometry is useful in the case of station tube. We know that tympanometry is used to diagnose the conditions of middle ear where tympanic membrane is intact and we have found a conductive hearing loss. So here we insert a probe that closes our middle ear, means it closes the opening of middle ear towards the external ear. So this is completely fixed, no air is getting inside. Okay, and now with help of this probe we create a pressure of plus 200 to minus 200, either of them, millimeter of water. And now to check patency of a station tube, we ask the patient to swallow 20 times in 5 seconds. Now if the person swallows 20 times in 5 seconds and the pressure within the middle ear equalizes to normal, means plus minus 50 millimeter of water, we say that station tube is functioning. Now why this test is considered best is because all of these tests, these measure the anatomical patency of a station tube, means just anatomically how patent the station tube is. But tympanometry is actually telling us about physiological functioning of a station tube. This is because tympanometry is the best and most reliable test in checking the station tube patency and functioning. Now let's move on to the next test, pneumatic otoscopy. As you are seeing in the image, this is the pneumatic otoscope through which a doctor is visualizing the tympanic membrane. uh, by creating pressure changes we see for the tympanic membrane mobility. A normal tympanic membrane mobility tells about a normal eustachian tube functioning, because it will lead to a normal pressure within the middle ear, which will lead to a normal tympanic membrane mobility. The third test is nasopharyngoscopy. Nothing much in it. We insert an endoscope and check for the patency of eustachian tube. Now the fourth one is eustachian tube catheterization. uh, in this test, as you are looking in the image, okay, okay, before looking into image, what we do is we insert an endoscope. Okay, this is our nose, and through the floor of the nose, we insert an catheter, and this catheter is inserted till the posterior wall of our nasopharynx. So we insert a catheter till the posterior wall of nasopharynx, and now let's see the image. After inserting it until the posterior wall of nasopharynx, we rotate it by 90 degree medially, and then we bring it backward towards our side until it hits the septum, nasal septum. Okay, as you are seeing in the diagram, in the left side, the smaller one, as it hits the nasal septum, we rotate it by 180 degree laterally. As we rotate it by 180 degree laterally, it lies just superimposed over the eustachian tube opening. This is how eustachian tube catheterization is done. Okay, the fifth test is Valsalva test, and similar of it is polygerization. So Valsalva test, as you are seeing in the image, the patient is asked to forcefully expire while his nose and mouth is closed, and we look for tympanic membrane through an otoscope. If there is normal patency of eustachian tube, the tympanic membrane will bulge because of the pressure generated. Polygerization is a similar test, but here we don't ask patient to forcefully expire. Actually, we apply pressure actively through inserting a tube through one nose, and we ask patient to pinch his other nose. Through this mechanism, as you are seeing in the image, we do the polygerization test, and the effect is same as Valsalva. There will be a bulging if normal patency of a eustachian tube, and this will tell about the normal eustachian tube. Toin based test, for these tests we do not add good images, so try to understand it. Twin based test is done. uh, Try to do it right now. Okay, so twin based test is done by pinching our nose and closing our mouth. Okay, and then we try to swallow the air, swallow the saliva. This swallowing of the saliva will create a negative pressure in our middle ear by closing the eustachian tube, forcefully sucking the air out of the middle ear, and you will feel it. So this is twin based test. Okay, the seventh test is Frenzel's maneuver. Frenzel's maneuver is important because it is done by scuba divers, the free divers, and the passengers on an aircraft while they are descending, because this helps in pressure stabilization between the middle ear and nasopharynx. Now how this is done, that we ask the patient to pinch his nose and close the mouth, and then we ask patient to close the back of the throat by saying words like K. Okay, and while and feeling like he's lifting some weight. Okay, so straining, he will be straining and saying the word K while his nose and mouth are closed. This will help in opening and stabilizing of the pressure. Sonotubometry is easier procedure. We what we do is that we hold a source of sound in front of one of the nostril in the test subject, and we insert a microphone within air, and we ask the patient to swallow. We know that while swallowing, eustachian tube opens. So during this procedure, eustachian tube, if it will be opening, the patient will be hearing more while he is swallowing, because of if the eustachian tube is patent. So these are the 8 tests of eustachian tube. Let's revise the name. They were tympanometry, the best test, pneumatic otoscopy, nasopharyngoscopy, endoscope introduction, eustachian tube catheterization, Valsalva and polygerization, Toynbee, Frenzel's, and sonotubometry. This is what is eustachian tube function. Thanks for watching.